Hey guys, and welcome back to another video on the RoBuilder YouTube channel. Today I want to kind of go over how to create an update plan for your game and sort of how to make it last, I guess, which is kind of ironic since, you know, my game is not exactly lasting that well, but I have a few reasons for that. Anyways, if we want to get into those reasons and my dogs want to quit barking, I think swords is too niche. So Super Slayer's very great game. Like, I genuinely think it's really good and very satisfying to play, but I think the main gameplay of it is too niche. I think swords, in theory, were an awesome concept. Like, this is so cool to me, okay? They fly over and slash your opponents. And then, of course, let's take off all of our good swords, you know, and go into, like, a zone where they're a bit harder to kill. We'll go over to this Arctic zone real quick. I think this game had so much potential, but the swords themselves are too niche. So I don't think enough people are interested in, you know, a sword game for it to be super crazy front page. Anyways, with that being said, it has still made us a good little bit of money and had a great time making the game. So, getting into an update plan, there's a few things that you want to consider. The first thing is adding on to existing content. Of course, you're going to want to have your game fully finished when you release it, and by fully finished, I mean your core gameplay loop. Alright, now in Super Slayers, it is you have a sword, you kill an NPC, you get coins, you buy more swords. That is our main gameplay loop. And then your updates, you want to add to that. So unlocking more zones, you can always add another zone for an update, simulator-wise anyways. And the main thing to get your updates just awesome and even get more players from these updates and players that play longer is add something into your update or add something into your core gameplay loop. For example, we have our spawn zone here, and then we have this zone, and then this zone, this zone, this zone, blah, blah, blah. But now when we get into this zone, it introduces something new. Now, this is player upgrades, and you can upgrade, like, your walk speed, your sword damage, etc., stuff like that. So that is a little twist to the core gameplay loop. For another update, now all of these came out upon release, but we'll get into, like, the new stuff soon. For another update, we have another thing over here. This is enchantments. So now, all these swords that you've been collecting, you can now add enchantments to make them even stronger or have different abilities. So what you want to do is have your core gameplay, and then think of ways, every update should have a new zone, by the way. Think of ways to add to that core loop, and then add another thing for people to do. So another thing we added recently was dungeons, which are right here, and that comes every 30 minutes. It'll teleport you down into the dungeon room, and then that'll start, and boom, you'll go through waves of dungeon rooms to get really a bunch of cool stuff. But yeah, it's another aspect to the game, another element to the game, and it helps break up that rinse and repeat cycle of just killing with swords. Now, we do have another update planned, and I guess I should hop into the dev version to show you guys that, so you can get sort of one more idea of how we're adding to this core gameplay loop. Alright, so as you can see, we're back in the spawn, but we have a new portal. Now, you guys might be saying, bro, that's sick, what does it do? Check it out, guys. This is going to lead to an altar of elements. So not only is this particular update going to expand on our gameplay already, it's going to add a new thing for players to grind for. So, in here, what you're going to do is there'll be one runestone for each zone. So, for example, you'll kill a bunch of NPCs, and then one will randomly drop a runestone. You'll come into this portal and turn in that zone's runestone to that zone's pedestal, whatever we build up here, and you'll be rewarded permanent upgrades. So this is just another way that Super Slayers is going to break up that gameplay loop. Now, for simulators, when you want to make an update plan for your game, there's sort of a lot that goes into it. Part of it is how often is your team online. So, of course, ideally, a simulator will update every single week. Like every, for example, Friday would have something new in the game for players to do, because simulators, you kind of complete the game and then they're boring. So, ideally, every single week would have another update. But if your team can't do that, you need to find something that works for you, and I think consistency is the biggest key to that. So if you can only update once a month, make sure you're updating once a month. Don't say, hey guys, we can only update once a month, and then, you know, update 1 month, and then 2 months later, 10 months later. Like, you gotta try to be consistent, and that's what's gonna keep the game's fan base playing your game and staying for all the updates and getting excited for new stuff because they know when it's coming. Something else, and I guess I kind of jumped in saying you already have a game, but when you start thinking of a game, think of a very, very basic idea. For example, in this game, the basic idea would be, I want players to get coins from killing NPCs. Alright, so a very stripped down version of the game. You kill NPCs, you get coins. And then you need to add on, okay, how are we going to kill these NPCs? We picked swords. You could have guns, swords, punching, magic, anything, but we picked swords. So now that we have, okay, players are going to use swords to kill NPCs to get coins. We have our core gameplay here. Now we have to think, okay, what are players going to use coins on? So for that, we have new zones. Awesome. You get new zones for your coins. What else can players use coins on? What's going to progress? Probably new swords, which we have in these crates. They work like eggs in other games, and that's just a great way for players to use coins. So now we have our core gameplay. Players are going to kill NPCs, players kill NPCs with swords, and players get coins from those NPCs after they're killed to buy swords and to buy zones. So we have our whole gameplay loop right there. Now we need to think of what we can add to that to make it even more crazy, more fun, and just more stuff to do. So in Super Slayers, we added enchantments. You can make golden rainbow. We added dungeons. We added player upgrades. All this kind of stuff is more stuff that you can do within the game. I'd say it's really important to play the base variant of your game, and when you're going to like balance everything and make it a fun game for players, that's where you're going to add stuff, because balancing is far more than just, hey, this sword's going to do 5 damage and then the next sword's going to do 10, especially if you add more stuff that's going to affect that balance. For example, enchanting could multiply that. So now you have the basic sword times 5, so 5 times 5, 25, and now that sword's better than the other sword. So a lot happens with balancing as well, and that's a very important part of updating, is realizing what's going to change the balance of your game and what's going to keep it the same. What's going to fit, what's not going to fit, all very, very important when you're coming to updates. So to make a good update plan, in summary anyways, I would say this, guys. Here, let's do a dramatic slow zoom out. Here we go, guys. I'd say to make a great update plan for your game, you're going to need your base gameplay mechanic, alright? And then you're going to need your full gameplay mechanic. After you have your full gameplay done, you just want to add more of that core gameplay, so more zones, more swords, more NPCs in this case, and then twists on other stuff you can do with everything you've unlocked so far. So in this game, we're going to have an altar of elements, we have dungeons, and that's other stuff that players are able to do with stuff that they've already unlocked. So just adding to the game, making it more fun, more interesting for players, and I would say the more stuff to do, the better, as long as it flows. I could have 50 things to do in Super Slayers, and some players would only know 3 of them, and then where are you at, guys? You know, you kind of just wasted a lot of time working on an update, or many updates, and players have no idea about it. So make sure they flow, make sure you're doing alright with them. But guys, I think that is going to wrap up today's video. If you did enjoy and you want to see more content like this, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Have a great day. Later.